An astonishing new report indicates that you may be able to predict someone's sex drive and their likelihood of cheating by looking at their face. Researchers in Canada published a study in the journal Archives of Sexual Behavior to find a link between physiological features and sexual conduct, and were amazed to find that a person's face shape seemed to be correlated with their sexual behavior. They examined 145 heterosexual men and measured their faces and the width of the face divided by the height of the upper face. Then they had those men participate in a survey that focused on sex as well as attitudes and other personality traits. Then, they examined 314 college men and women and took the same measurables but added some other variables like sexual orientation and a person's perception of casual sex. The results were surprising. People with a high FWHR, or a square and wide face, had a greater sex drive, and they were more likely to be comfortable with casual sex or cheating on their partner. The full statement from Springer follows below. Men and women with shorter, wider faces tend to be more sexually motivated and to have a stronger sex drive than those with faces of other dimensions. These are the findings from a study led by Stephen Arnicki of Nipissing University in Canada. The research investigates the role that facial features play in sexual relationships and mate selection and is published in Springer's journal Archives of Sexual Behavior. The study adds to a growing body of research that has previously shown that certain psychological and behavioral traits are associated with particular facial width-to-height ratios known as FWHR. Square-faced men who therefore have a high FWHR tend to be perceived as more aggressive, more dominant, more unethical, and more attractive as short-term sexual partners than their thinner and longer-faced counterparts. Researchers attribute differences in facial proportions to variations in testosterone levels during particular developmental periods, such as puberty. This hormone plays a role in forming adult sexual attitudes and desires. In this paper, Arnicki and his colleagues report two separate studies conducted among students. In the first, 145 undergraduates who were in romantic relationships at the time completed questionnaires about their interpersonal behavior and sex drive. The researchers also used photographs of the participants to determine their facial width-to-height ratio. The second study involved 314 students and was an extended version of the first study, which included questions about participants' sexual orientation, the chances of them considering infidelity, and their socio-sexual orientation. The latter is a measure of how comfortable participants are with the concept of casual sex that does not include love or commitment. According to Arnicki, their findings suggest that FWHR can be used to predict a measure of sexuality in both sexes. Men and women with a high FWHR, therefore, square and wide faces reported a greater sex drive than others. Together, these findings suggest that facial characteristics might convey important information about human sexual motivations, says Arnicki. It was also found that men with a larger FWHR not only have a higher sex drive than others, but also are more easygoing when it comes to casual sex and would consider being unfaithful to their partners. Here's how Wikipedia describes facial width-to-height ratio FWHR as a measure derived from archaeological skull measurements. 1 FWHR is linked with testosterone 2 and has been proposed as a predictor of aggression 3, cause of death by violence 4, and also with CEO success probability. 5. While most studies have found some significance, some have found little correlation. 6 FWHR has also been used in primate studies 7 with similar findings. Width is measured as upper basigomatic width, the widest central bit of the face. Height measurement used as upper facial height, from the top of the eyelids approximately the nasion to the top lip. 8 This can cause experimental error when working from photographs and historical studies due to facial expressions. 6